it's Andrea from WellAndrea, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about how to find an exercise and movement program for yourself that works for you and that you feel good about when you're constantly bombarded, especially on social media, with ways you should move, you should not move. We are constantly told that things are useless and not enough. And so how do you find a program that actually is beneficial for you, and you do you, and you know it works for you, but also it is beneficial? So just yesterday on social media, I saw a post that said perimenopausal and menopausal women have to lift heavy weights at least 4 to 5 days a week. And I think by heavy really was meant, in the maybe 3 to 5 reps until you get very close to failure range. So those are very heavy weights. And the person got a fair amount of pushback. She stood very strong with her opinion, and she said, there is the research, and and there's definitely research that shows that, as we age, building strength and maintaining strength and muscle mass, which we lose, is very important. And I'm not saying it is not, but I don't think it is all that helpful if we tell people they have to lift very heavy weights 4 to 5 times a week, especially if this is not something that they enjoy. Because I do believe that if you do 2 really good full body weightlifting sessions that maybe are a little bit lighter, so maybe in the 8 to 12 rep range, but in each of your sets you do get close to failure, I do think that that can work really well. And so I think it could be discouraging if somebody, for whatever reason, doesn't love to lift weights, and sometimes people are prevented from lifting really, really heavy things, and they are much better served at a lower weight but higher rep range. And so I think, it really depends on what is going on in our lives and, our history, our injury, everything. And the other thing I see a lot right now on social media are the, things I'm not falling for, right? And while I think these lists are fun and I can appreciate where people are coming from, I feel like, we are really hammering home this dichotomy of, things are good or bad, right? So, I saw also on that yesterday, somebody put, things they're not falling for: Pilates for middle-aged women, right? And so, the message is sent, and Pilates, of course, is a hot topic and very much discussed, and, people love it or hate it, it seems. And I think the answer is much, much more nuanced, right? Ideally, of course, I do think that we should do Pilates and something else. But also, especially if somebody is just starting out, I think actually Pilates can work for a while, maybe even on its own. And then I would definitely encourage some weightlifting as well. So, and Pilates, I think, can fit very nicely into an exercise program, and it can be extremely beneficial for flexibility and mobility and stability and so many other things. And so, I don't like those lists, even though they're cute maybe, and but I do think that, again, they they are black and white. They are absolutely missing the nuance, and the nuance is really what is needed in everything really we do in life. So now I wanted to talk a little bit about the 4 things that I think we should pay attention to. And if we do that and we reassess that from time to time, I think we can create a good program. So my number 1 thing is you do not want to sit too long or be in one position for too long at a time. You want to add frequent movement to your day. You want to get outside whenever you can. But, I cannot get outside every 30 minutes either. But you can get up from whatever position you're in and you can move around for a minute. Right? You can do some squats, you can do some jumping jacks, you can do a mobility exercise, you can do some push-ups. You can, if you have a hang bar, you can hang for a minute or 2. Great exercise. So I think, really adding movement to your day and moving frequently is really important and is really beneficial and will have great payoffs. And I think, on busy days, you can add like mini little weightlifting sessions to your day. If you cannot go to the gym, you can take maybe 5 to 10 minutes several times a day to just add some weightlifting to your day at home, or if you can do it in your office. I think that is a really beneficial thing to do. The second thing I would say is that you do want to add some strength training to your week. And so for me, the absolute minimum is 2 whole body weightlifting sessions per week. So I think it's a good idea to work every body part twice. So you can either do that by, divide the body up. So one way would be upper body, lower body, and then you just do 2 sessions, upper body, 2 sessions, lower body. That's just an example. Otherwise, you could do 2 whole body sessions. And or sometimes if you have a little bit more time, you could do 1 upper body, 1 lower body, and then 1 full body. If you do a really good session in terms of a combined upper body, lower body weightlifting sessions, and you really target all the major muscle groups, I think that can be very effective. It will be a tiring session. It will be a little bit of a longer session. And but some people really like, to get it done within 2 days, and then they are done with their weightlifting and they can do other things the rest of the week that they maybe enjoy more. So the next thing I think that is important is cardiovascular health. I think for a while there was sort of a trend to say, all you have to do is lift weights, it elevates your heart rate, and, you do not need to do any other, you don't need to do any cardio. And I think this came from the idea that, for many decades we were sort of told just do cardio to burn off the calories, right? And this is really not what this is about. I do think we need to work our cardiovascular system. I think we need to build a strong foundation with like the lower zones, so zone 1 and 2. And then we also need to work at the upper end with some sort of sprint training ideally. This can be very this doesn't have to be a lot, and it probably shouldn't be a lot. I mean, like once a week or maybe once every 10 days can be enough. And those would be very short, all out efforts with a fair amount of rest in between. And Then I think what we also need to really pay attention to is mobility, flexibility, and stability. And we actually can, I think I go to one Pilates class with a very experienced instructor. She has been teaching also other forms of exercises, and her sessions include all three. That's not always the case, but so I think that those areas are very important. We do not want to lose mobility throughout our joints. We really want to make sure that we move them in full ranges of motion so that we don't lose that mobility. We also don't want to lose flexibility, and it is very important to have the stability in the joints. So we do need to do some strengthening exercises that actually give our joints the stability. So I hope that this was helpful. And I think one of the things I want to say is that there are so many different options for you in putting together a program, right? I mean, no two people are the same. No two people have the same bodies, the same history, the same injuries, and don't like the same things. And I think within, if you hit all four boxes, there is so much room for you to play and to do what you want and to change it up when it gets boring, right? And as I said before, it's like I divide my year up sort of into quarters, and I do something a little bit different every 3 months or so, but I always make sure I hit those 4 boxes. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I hope you have a great day, and always keep moving. Bye now.